right, go.
Uncle Reverend Dr. Radcliff.
Yes.
Please tell us about this beautiful mantle.
Yeah.
Black excellence that we have.
The mantle. So I'm laughing because the wonderful Fuller Studio crew that have been with us through all
yes.
they know that this is something I've shared from my phone. I've shared a picture of this with every person we've done interviews with because they all are aware, deeply aware. Like Stan Long was talking about that there were no Black faculty. Ray Dora and Velma, they talked about it from different perspectives. Janelle, of course, knew how the Black Exodus was happening. Right. And Ralph, he was part of the Black Exodus. So right. I'm just super proud of this. And this is, again, one of those things about making space, right?
Right.
That when you walk into a school like this, where else are you going to find this?
Right.
And so it's important for us to have that here in the Pannell Center, that whether people are coming in to study, whether a commuting student is coming in just to take a load off before they run into class,
right.
Just seeing this Black excellence, seeing this many faces, it's important.
Yeah.
It matters to them. So I'm super excited. So much goodness happening.
Major.
And I'm excited about the future.
I'm so honored to be here today with Reverend Dr. Dwight Radcliff, our fearless leader in the Pannell Center.
My name is Dwight Radcliff. I am the Academic Dean for the William E. Pannell Center for Black Church Studies. I am Assistant Professor of Mission, Theology, and Culture. And I am an alumni.
Wait, that's alumnus.
Alumnus.
Alumni is multiple alumnus.
I graduated.
You finished.
I finished. I got a Master of Divinity in 2013 and a PhD in Intercultural Studies in 2019. And I was hired to be the director of the Pannell Center. And then shortly after that, I became the assistant provost, I think was the title. And then we've now moved to the titles of academic dean.
Right.
I helped to run the Pannell Center.
That's beautifully said. And I have had the pleasure and the honor of working with you in the Pannell Center as program coordinator from 2018 to
2019 through 2021.
That's right.
Yeah.
I
got you.
Yeah. It's like, wait a second, the years.
All the years, they just...
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious, what do you feel is the core of your work?
So I think the Pannell Center, going back to 1972, going back to the Theological Studies program for Black ministers, the goal of the center was to open doors for non-traditional Black clergy to be able to come into a space like Fuller and to learn and to be a blessing to their context.
Right.
But also the flip side of that was the institution needs to be able to learn from this demographic. And there weren't any Black students. There weren't a lot of Black students coming here.
Sure.
So I think that the same thing from 1972 in 2022 is still like the core of our work, that we still have practitioners, non-traditional academics, scholars, and voices. Fuller has Seminary at large has been a space where if you're a pastor or a preacher, but what about the author? What about the poet? What about the person who's on staff at a church and maybe not a preacher? What about the nonprofit? What about the activist? Where can they go to also become better for their communities?
Right.
That's what the Pannell Center is supposed to be. And then how does Fuller then also learn from these people as they come? So to me, my gifting, my calling, my vision for what I think I'm supposed to be doing at the Pannell Center is making space in place. To make space for those voices, for those potential students, for those potential community partners, and really not just make space so that they're tolerated, but understand that there's a place for them.
Right.
That it's not just we got room for you, we'll make room for you, but you belong here.
Right.
We need your voice, we need your gifting, we need what you do.
It's powerful.
Yeah, we need you here.
Right.
And how do we do that and center your voice and center your gifting and center your calling?
So that is so powerful. And in that same vein, I'd love for you to talk about one of the programs that you created that has been so instrumental and powerful. And it's been around, what, for 1 or 2 years now?
Yeah.
The Emerging Black Scholars Cohort. Tell us about, I'm having the chills just talking about it.
Don't start.
It's so amazing.
We're entering into our third year. We're entering into our third year.
Congratulations.
Yeah. When I came into my position, I was deliberate about talking to Black alumni. We're going to get this together.
We're going to write it down.
Yes.
We're going to practice it together.
And we're going to write it. It needs to be on the where's the teleprompter?
Right.
We need to have it on the teleprompter.
Yes.
I wanted to talk to Black graduates of Fuller. And so when I started traveling a little bit, I would deliberately hit up people in the area. Hey, can we go have a meal? Let's talk. Graduate after graduate after graduate said that what they loved about Fuller was that they felt like they got a good education. What they hated was they didn't feel like they were formed.
Right.
They felt like they learned some stuff, but they didn't feel as though as a person of color, as a Black scholar, they didn't feel formed at Fuller. So here's what I said. How do we make sure that students know early on that if you're discerning doctoral work, how do you start building out your curriculum, the courses that you're going to take to make sure that you are a competitive doctoral applicant?
That's good.
How do we make sure that by the time you graduate that you actually are already building your CV, that you've got opportunities for internships and publication? How do you make sure that when you walk into class that you know other people, whether you're logging in or walking in, that you know other people in the classroom? So how do you build that in though, especially in 2020 beyond, where more and more of our students are online, where a few of our students are living on campus in community? How do you build that in? And so the Emerging Black Scholars Program was what I believe, God was helping us to build. And so we take 12 to 15 students every year, mostly incoming students, but 12 to 15 students every year. Any student of African descent can apply. And we put them in a 1-year, kind of like a directed formational cohort. You get to sit in the room with these scholars and practitioners who look like you, who've had experiences that you've had, and they get to, you're not just hearing, here's my latest book. You're hearing, this is my journey. This is what it took for me to find out what God was doing with my life. This is how I navigated, survived, and thrived in spaces that weren't meant for me. So taking them through that, building community amongst themselves, giving them spaces to learn how to find their voices as Black scholars, as Black writers.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's what that piece is about, that hopefully at the end of the EBS, if you've gone through EBS for a year, my goal, my hope, my prayer is that you know a bunch of other students at Fuller deeply, you know who they are, you know what they're doing, that you've gotten opportunities to publish something if you're working on something, you've gotten opportunities to write, to serve in internships, that you begin to feel deeply formed. And you had some other people from around the world speak into your own journey.
One of the ways in which I feel like this future, this advice that you're talking about giving for the Pannell Center to be a space where lawyers and poets and activists have a space where they're formed. I feel like you've helped put this into motion already with the MJA program, the Masters in Justice and Advocacy degree program. That is 1 year old?
Yeah, we're accepting our second cohort this fall, so we're going into our second year.
So incredible.
Yeah, in an age where enrollment decline is a real thing and everything, for us to have, I think we accepted 15 students the first year.
I
think we actually matriculated 13, and we're looking at probably 17 for this year.
That's exciting.
I am honored and humbled that I get to lead this degree, that I got to kind of chair the work of really making this degree what it is. I'm super, super proud of this degree. It is a 60-unit master's degree.
Wow.
It's a a degree that we wanted to make sure that practitioners, people who are working in justice and advocacy broadly, were able to come here, study, get the theological and missiological and even psychological kind of foundations for what they do, and do their work even better.
What words of advice do you have for the center today and moving forward?
10 years from now, 20 years from now, I would want that the emerging generation, the new up and coming leaders in the Black community and the Black Christian community who are poets and doctors and authors and lawyers and entrepreneurs and pastors and activists, I would want them to be graduates of Fuller by way of the Pannell Center. I would want, if they didn't go to school here, I would want the Pannell Center to have a fingerprint, an imprint on their life.
Wow.
I want in 10 to 20 years for Black Christian leaders to be formed in some kind of way by the efforts of the Pannell Center. I think that if we look back now, it's been 50 years. If we look back from 1972 to now, that there have been some great and awesome people. There are the Bill Pannells, the Stan Longs, the Velma Unions, the Redora Stewarts, the Janelle Austins, the Joy Moores, the Ralph Watkinses, these people that have given so much of themselves to making sure that the Pannell Center, that this place existed and that it was doing something.
Right.
We have to make sure that we are doing something that honors the legacy of our ancestors. I love relay races. I believe that our elders have done an awesome job of handing us the baton in the right place, in the right time. And it's our job now to run full speed. And regardless of what part of the relay race we've been called to do, there's giftings that we bring to the table. And for myself, for the next generation of leaders that will take the Pannell Center on even further, it's our job to make it better than it was when it was handed to us.